have international updates coming in. This is with regards to a big question that seems to be hanging at this point of time, whether the US attack on Iran is imminent. US asks citizens to leave Iran immediately. US 2 Americans in Iran leave Iran now. The United States has come out to say plan to depart without the government's help. Flight cancellations and disruptions are possible. The US State Department calls on the US citizens to leave Iran immediately. So this is again warnings mounting at a time when when the US has time and again been warning Iran at this point of time, that is the Iranian government and the regime there, that they might be in fact attacking the particular country, given that their instructions or what they have demanded are not followed, especially in the light of the escalations, where we speak, or rather where we are referring to the very protests that have been underway in the very country. Now, what are these protests about? It had started, the entire boiling point here, it had started over the wider inacceptance and the wider frustration amongst the public with regards to the economic failure that the country was going through. That is the entire beginning point, the starting point of what exactly Iran is today facing. And now the US had in fact come in to intervene, with protesters oftentimes being killed in the very exchange between the protesters and the authorities there. But then the US came out to say that no protester should be harmed in Iran, else they will be attacking. And from there, we've only seen those warnings escalate from the United States side. Sumit Chaudhary joining me on the broadcast with more details on this. Sumit, very good morning to you. Where are we standing at this point of time when we speak of a US intervention? And it's not an intervention anymore at this point. What we are looking at is whether there is an attack, there's a possible attack on Iran that's coming the country's way from the United States, given these warnings that's mounting from their sides.
Well, definitely from last few days, we have seen the relations between Iran and especially the US have been coming to that level where both the countries are preparing themselves for a bigger and a largest conflict. But today, as we are speaking right now, there is a meeting which is going to be placed in Oman between the Iran and the US. And the most important part of this meeting is the negotiation between the US government and the Iran government regarding the nuclear program, regarding the ballistic missile program, to reduce the ballistic missile program. And all these discussions is going to be held between Iran and US. But during this particular time, once again, the US government has issued an advisory, although these are not the first advisory issued by the US government. Earlier also, we have seen a multiple kind of similar kind of US advisory has been issued to US citizens. But the timing of this advisory is most important, because today we are also going to see a negotiation or some important meeting between US and the Iranian government. So this is something which indicates that the US government have been planning that if in the worst case scenario, if something happened, the negotiations are not going to happen in the right way, then they have to evacuate all the US citizens. Although from last few weeks, we have also seen that the US government, on a very serious note, not only mentioned to all the US citizens, but many European countries also issued the similar kind of advisory to their citizens, and they have been asked to evacuate Iran. So this is something indicating that the US government is also preparing. If something not going to happen in a good way between the US and the Iran, then they have been preparing to evacuate all the citizens. Back to you.
So Sumit, at this point of time, we are also looking at the preparedness from Iran's side, because we've seen last year itself how the US had come in with almost, one wouldn't call it a surprise attack per se, but definitely in terms of timing, it was not a surprise attack per se, but definitely it had left not just Iran surprised, but also the entire world surprised with the kind of attack that US had launched. 3 entire nuclear sites being destroyed by the United States. So this time as well, how are we looking at the preparedness of Iran in the lights of a situation where the US might launch an attack again?
Well, this time we can see one thing very clearly. This time there will be no surprise attack. There will be a full prepared conflict which both the parties, especially the US and the Iran, have been preparing for very long. Last year, when you compare the situation from last year it is a very limited and a calculated special operations. But this time we have seen the biggest and the most, typical warplanes, the strategic navy planes, all these have been moved to very near to the Iranian soil. So this time the preparation from the both sides is very important and very, you can see, very dangerous also. Not only from the US and the Iran side, we have also seen that the many European countries, especially UK, we have also seen that Israel is preparing themselves. So all these indicating that they want something very strong and very bigger actions against Iran, and that is why the question for Iran is not only to handle all these operations or the actions from the US and the Israel, but also it's a matter of survival for Iran and IRGC. So these kind of threats are these kind of you can say preparation is a very dangerous for whole the Middle East, and that is the reason both the countries have been preparing on a very serious note. Actually.
Right, Sumit. The situation right now for the Khamenei regime, this Ayatollah Khamenei regime, is somewhere where it's stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. How it pans out for the regime and for the country in itself, it's a matter of survival, as Sumit was saying. That is something we're keeping a very close track of. Sumit, stay with us.